And now we come into game number 3, which I don't think all of us expected here, Raz, because Snake had a really convincing game 1, which at least most of us did not expect.
Yep.
And then game number 2, they sort of let things slip a little bit, especially there in the early game.
It looked good for them after the early game, fumbles, they regained control. Like, it was looking great for Snake, and they got themselves like that near 4K gold lead. That was like looking great for them. We can realistically come out of a 2-0 series and then start talking about Snake's praises. But then ultimately they're making mistakes as teams. Both these teams are making mistakes. Remember, it makes a lot of sense because both these teams are the ones fighting to get into the playoffs, like trying to find that 8th place spot. And so that key idea, if you are like taking a step back in that situation, Baron's about to come back up, enemy team has 3 Mountain Dragons. Realistically, Snake made the right call of saying, okay, double down on Baron. Don't let them get mid lane control, get that push, and then try and look for a fight around that situation. Or just try and go for Baron. It's usually when you start thinking about the enemy composition, what the enemy wants to do. Specifically that split push that you start to fall behind because you're like, oh, snap, we didn't prepare bottom lane wave. Yorick is there. They're not going to completely move from that position now. They're not going to fully base because they're like, we just started Baron. We just need to rush it and leave. But then, like, as if the enemy team is going to let you leave. It's like, that's how Vici lost to RNG when Uzi came back in his debut and Amazing J started hitting that Nexus. We have a few of those plays where Yorick just comes in for a base rush there. So teams just got to be ready for it when they go up against Yorick.
Yeah, this time instead of being Amazing J, instead of being Zoom, it was Jinoo, and he's going to get the MVP off that one, keeping so much pressure there in the top lane or the bottom lane. Wherever he went, trouble followed.
That was it's just insane to be able to look at Jinoo. His team fights were good. You don't get to see a lot of great Yorick team fights. I think that he had some great plays when he was to be able to match up his team when Snake were looking for a mid lane push and dive, and he was able to come in and help. And then, obviously, he got the Nexus on a split. So good on him. Often like just thinking outside the box. Deserved MVP.
So we've been talking a little bit about what we're criticizing about these teams, and both of them were a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
What do you want to see going forward? What do you want to highlight from the last game as something that's good or like something worth talking about or thinking about going into game number 3?
I want to talk about Victory 5 because even though Victory 5 came out with the game, they had the early game lead, and I just want to go through a replay for people like essentially where Victory 5 were looking fantastic. They got themselves a Mountain Dragon. They were looking like they could easily slow the game down and start to think more about the larger objectives rather than the kills. That's not what happened though. Korn allowed them to look for a flank, so then it was like, okay, Snake lost a lot here. Lost a member, lost their support, lost the dragon. Victory 5 could have played this one back. Go for the Baron buff push here with triple Mountain Dragon, but they tasted Bud. They tried to go in for the kill on Azrael and Jarvan. That's not... These are not plays that top 5 teams would make. Top 5 teams, even Suning, a team that right now is sitting alongside just outside of playoff position, would recognize the better play would be able to go back mid, push mid, and recognize not only do you have a 1-member advantage, you have the ability to look for a Baron. Realistically, based off that play alone, Victory 5 would have been able to go for a death grip on mid lane, inner turret, inhibitor, just because they won that dragon fight. If it was any other team in top 5, they would have happened. But both of these teams, if they ever find themselves, in a position to get the kill, to get a major team fight win, they will go for it. And I think that's a major flaw between both.
You can't just smell the blood in the water and be like, all right, it's hunting time, baby, let's go. That's not...
It's fun, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, that's my solo queue philosophy, which is why I'm not great. But it is fun.
Yeah.
But fun isn't really what the LPL is all about. I mean, for us as the viewers, that's what it's all about. The LPL is just
like
fun.
Myself some fun.
But for the players, it's a lot more serious. It's a lot more calculated plays. And speaking of calculations
What's up?
And adaptations, so
give it to me.
V5 are doing the sub thing again.
Swap him out.
Why? Why are you subbing out Ben 4? I thought he did great.
Just so people know what the substitutions mean, it's of course Ben 4 coming back in for Pepper, and then as well Road coming in. We may have already spoiled it for you, but here they come out right now. Road coming back in as the support. I wonder what that really entails, what that means for the team, because The benefit of this, remember, is that they get to chill out. They only played the first game, and now they're coming in refreshed. On top of that, sitting alongside each other, so they've been trading ideas, having the freedom of thought and discussion with their coaching staff. So there's a lot of benefit of, you know, being able to sit out a game and come right back into it. But I'm always a fan of adrenaline. You know, the added idea of here, look, we are better player, like, you know, coming in off of a major victory, so there's always that fact of like, don't pull me out when I'm already going. And I think right now Lei had so many like amazing plays for his team that I would love to see Lei continue on. And then that extra factor of like better players. I think Lei is, you know, better performing support on the Alistar in particular, so I would love to be able to see him play it out with Y4.
I kind of get bringing Ben 4 back in, because me personally, I'm a big Ben 4 fan.
Yep.
I love his playstyle. A lot of times, like especially on his Gragas, I love to see that because he's just crazy with it. Tons of damage, tons of just does the Gragas things.
Yep.
Raz, he just does them.
He does them.
But Lei, we highlighted so many times throughout that game Lei's playmaking potential, and you brought it up again. But I don't know if it is worth subbing out someone who made that many proactive plays for your team and in several ways was the reason for your victory, just because you had your jungle and support talking to each other during the break.
In agreement. Though there's always going to be that counterplay that, you know, Victory 5 ended up winning because of the, you know, Jinoo in the bottom lane. I think the early game lead, to your point, is 100%. Like, I think that Lei and Pepper in that game looked good. So we'll have to see what they ended up, like what their adaptation is going to be in between the games in this series. Remember, this is super important for this team. Like, the fact that you can take this series over Snake, move closer and closer to that playoff position, it's nice to see, because even if you get to the week 10, you ended up the season, and you get to a point where maybe you're tied with SDG or Suning, it all counts down to points as well, head to head. All that comes into question. And in the LPL, like, that has been an issue where teams, I remember in the spring split, FPX got bumped out of the playoffs for WE just because of, I think it was a head-to-head differential. It was getting right down to the fact that they had the same points, the same match score, and it just was down to head-to-head, and one team had, it was WE that had the better of them. So you have to be focused on every game and series that you have, and I think Victory 5 is ready for this challenge.
And in that lens, it does make sense to sub them out, because they need to keep vision on the bigger picture. You know, if you have your chance to talk about them, be like, guys, okay, we need you fresh. We need you to be able to come back in, keep the push going, because Snake's members, you know, I think this is one of the cool things about 10-man rosters, is that you get to do these kind of things. You get to have these substitutions, and you can utilize them to your advantage. But at the same time, I mean, it's a catch-22. Like, it's cool to experiment, and if you really think it's going to be an advantage, that's awesome. But this is such a high-stake game for both of these teams that I don't know if now is the time that they should be trying this.
It just really depends on how confident the coaching staff, everyone is in the skill. I have all the faith that Road will be able to play no matter how few games that he has on the map. I have the same kind of faith in both Pepper and Ben 4 as well. Whenever people, especially international fans, see plays like this, they oftentimes think back at like SKT as a great example. When Pyrion comes in, or just like really any member that comes into the play, and you're like, that's a major risk. They haven't played competitively for that long enough. And then for North America, where oftentimes you're putting in academy members that have no on-stage experience. But that's not the case for Victory 5. These guys have been able to play on the major stage in the past. So when they come in, subbed in, they are playing just as well as they have in the past. In fact, for Ben 4, it's better. I think Ben 4 has been a major boost in terms of how he's playing now in comparison back in his time in DLG. He wasn't a caller back then, but on his squad right now, he is vocal. He is a major vocal member for his team who's getting them advantages early on. So I think for this team, they're the only team that I can look at and say you can make them swaps. Actually, well, I'm talking about the world, but when I think about them, I'll say RNG can do it, IG can do it. So I want to see what Victory 5, what benefit they get out of this.
Well, how do you think this is going to affect the draft then? Because that's a real deep question, but it's worth asking.
Gragas was a pickup by Maestro in the last game, and Gragas is a major pickup for Ben 4. That's not been a pick for Pepper, so I think Gragas is raised in priority based off that alone. So that's one aspect of that changes.
Now the ban's coming out. Interesting to see Flandre's Jace get banned out again, because yes, it was very good, but ultimately it didn't hold a candle to the Yorick of Jinoo in the later stages of the game.
But Jinoo knows the pressure that has been happening for the first like 15, 20 minutes. So he's probably like, just give me a better matchup and we can have an easier early game. So that's always comes down to when your coach asks your players, like, what do you want to deal with? It's like, please let me leave my lane a little earlier or give me a better matchup, something that they've been comfortable for the past few series.
Now Snake banning out the Riven. It's sort of like a free ban for V5. They just know they have Jinoo. Riven's probably going to get banned more often than not. It's just like, all right, cool. We get a free pick ban. But now they will pick up the Lissandra as a result. Very high priority. Last game, Korn performed very well on it. You saw the 3-man snare with the flash. Great play from him.
And Fenfen should feel comfortable with the LeBlanc matchup with how well he performed in the last game as well. Not only was he able to get the Luden's Echo, as a response, like much earlier because it was the Klepto LeBlanc, I think he should feel confident that something he practiced in solo queue and hopefully in scrims worked out on stage. So knowing that that's an extra option he can go to, I think he'll end up picking it up on first base.
Now Snake going to secure their bottom lane right now, giving Maestro the Galio. We haven't really seen it through pick bans yet, so it'll be interesting to see him on that, especially the combo with the Callista.
Yeah, if I remember properly, it was banned in second phase in game 1 just because there was like such... the moment you say, all right, we're banning supports in first phase, and it seems like you've left off the Alistar and Galio, let's just take that out of there and really force your champion pool. This time around, we have gone through the entire series that both supports are like, yeah, we have a larger champion pool, we're fine with this. And like that's even with the Tahm Kench now being banned by Snake, so... that's interesting about both teams have gone towards it. It's Road that picks up his iconic Alistar. I want to see if Road could come up strong this series.
Yeah, Alistar and Lucian picked up for V5 as you pointed out, but we're not going to see a little block this time coming in for Snake. Instead, opting for the Corki, which has been rising in popularity here on 9.4 in the LPL. Yeah,
the crit changes have done a lot of good for him. I know it was getting picked a little bit in 9.2 from a few teams. I know specifically TOP would love him on Knight. Knight is just a great Corki player, but it's a little bit like smoothed out. Your power tropes are really nice where you can get your Infinity Edge earlier if you want to. If you're doing well in your matchup, you want to be able to just kind of continue and dominate, have that crit chance, roll of the dice. Then you can go IE earlier. I just like rapid fire cannon a little bit earlier on just so you have the range advantage for these team fights, but makes it so Snake can now focus on later on in the game. Package gives you playmaking potential early. Later on in the game, you have the range, the double AD carry matchup that now Victory 5 have to deal with.
You're seeing the bans are focused a lot on that playmaking potential because they're banning out all the junglers, taking away Jarvan, Olaf, and now Sejuani total. So this is a lot of pressure, not necessarily on the champion pools of these junglers, but on the styles they're allowed to play.
I think Snake is fine, though. You don't need the Jarvan and Sejuani necessarily. When you have the Galio locked in, you can go Kha'Zix and Lee Sin and just go. Just take that kick. And you know that Galio is going to follow up on you. So I'm more worried here for Ben 4, knowing that so many junglers are off the map and you don't have anyone to really follow up with you.
Ooh, that could be interesting if they lock in that Graves there. But I've been getting baited all series by champion select hovers, so it's fitting that once again I got baited and it's a Skarner.
Yeah, for me there was no reason for the Graves. We were talking about a champion looking to engage either just by jumping in himself, or in this case Skarner can do that at level 6. Makes a lot of sense to be able to go for any of those picks. The Graves would be just crazy knowing it was going to be a blind pick one.
Now we're going to have to see the response from V5. They, of course, do also have to lock in their top laner at this point. So now they're going to pick up the Nocturne and the Aurelia to round out the composition for them. Stop baiting us with the lock-ins and the hovers, guys. Come on, Snake. You're being mean.
But Victory 5, their composition now is locked in, and it looks good. Lissandra and Nocturne is, two champions we've seen go alongside each other very well in the past. And you have an Alistar to look to follow up too. So we're just talking about all-in team fighting, something that Victory 5 has been so good at, especially this series. They have locked in a composition that allows them to do that if Lissandra and Aurelia get out of laning phase even.
Yeah, but that's the rub, Raz, because if you look at the top lane for Snake Gaming, you're going to have Flandre on that Vladimir, and we talked a little bit about his proficiency on this champion in Game 1's champion select, and it's absolutely insane for him.
it's just crazy that this pick and ban has gone to a point and adapted to both just late game team fighting, just in different styles. So the Vladimir, you're right, it's just a great late game team fighter as well, but completely different that he comes in at a flank position. He immediately threatens the back line. So all of the work that Victory 5 can do with the Lissandra jumping in, the Nocturne and Aurelia looking to follow up, and maybe look, if we're talking about Alistar Headbutt Pulverizer, can be undone because Lucian's like, wait a minute, all this space means nothing if Vladimir is already on top of me. So execution in these team fights are so crucial, and we've talked about Flandre's champion pool being a major focus point for us. He's going back to the Vladimir, and his Vladimir is sick, man. His Vladimir and Akali in 9.2 was just why they won team fights alone. He was able to take so much damage and deal so much damage, and so I think Snake, if they can set themselves up for these fights and get enough vision control so he can get a flank, they should come out with a victory.
Yeah, you know, Vladimir still untouched on patch 9.4 in comparison to Aurelia. Got hit with a little bit of changes. The new Conqueror as well going to affect her a little bit in these fights. So it'll be interesting to see when they get to the late game how those changes play out.
I just think that the game state now is much longer. The worry with Vladimir is that the game state was so quick, so snowbally, that the game would end before he's even able to get to his 2-3 item spike. 30 minutes is the time limit that really is do or die for Snake right now. If they can get to 30 minutes and game state's even or they're still combating, then wonderful, Flandre is online. If that's not the case, then they'll have some troubles. Flandre will be forced to these fights without any damage to follow up on. So Snake are going to try and play this one defensively, try and push Victory 5 back early on.
Well, we're going to see if they can make it all the way to that 30-minute timer, or if Victory 5 have other plans in mind as we get in here to game number 3.
For people who are wondering where you get that Jinx emote, like there are a few of them. Obviously, they're in Chinese. They're Chinese server specific. Yeah, we got them.
That's right. We got some exclusives, ladies and gentlemen. So, I mean, you could just move to China.
Then you would have some nice emotes.
Yeah. We also got the WE icon.
There are a few on that.
Exclusive.
I like the Silas emote because literally in Chinese it says unworthy. So you can just spam that at your teammates. I mean, not your teammates. I mean, enemy team. Please, wait a minute.
Revealing a little too much of your solo queue strategy there, Raz.
Go bot lane and immediately, flame your own support.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
That vibes with my experience in solo queue as well. So nothing too interesting coming out here from the runes at the moment, but want to see this level 1 here.
One thing that's surprising to me is Ben4 starting out blue buff, which means it's going to be starting top side, which also means he's starting on the same side of the map as SofM. You rarely see that because it's oftentimes junglers starting on red side jungle has the most experience, and oftentimes you're not mana starved at all. It's probably a good call out that Ben4 wants to be able to support the top lane early. Very tumultuous. The Vladimir versus Aurelia. He's going to be able to look to invade on SofM early on.
I don't know if you want to fight on the Spire there, Ben4, but he's just going to keep vision at the very least.
Even with the Spire, Nocturne out damages with the lethal tempo that he has for himself. So much early damage that he can just be able to pump out. So it's SofM in that instance. He's like, all right, I'm out. Don't worry about me.
Oh, Ben4. Oh, no. Fenfen ate a little more than he could chew, but the flash is forced out now by both Ben4 and Fenfen. The slow from the fracture is there. SofM looking for the kill. Might not be able to find it. He might himself need to get out of there. He already has blown the flash. The flash from Korn. 3 flashes blown in the mid lane and a teleport, but Korn will come away with the first blood.
Great communication from Victory 5. Letting Jinoo know that his services may be required. You even saw bottom lane, both of them emptying out. It's like when, full brawl happens on the court and you're like, all right, empty the bench. Get them all out there. We need the early game 2v2 to work in our corner. In this case, it was Jinoo joining up because SofM fully committed. To be fair, when the teleport came through, it was hard for him to find an exit strategy anyways. He just recognized he needed to get the kill and he just couldn't.
But now it will set them behind in the 2v2. Predator coming out soon for SofM, so that may be an opportunity for him now that he has gotten that back. Not by his own volition, of course, but he does have it.
Means that he can look for a ganks a little bit earlier now. Remember when Predator came online, it allowed for a lot of junglers that were needed for level 6 to be able to gank earlier. Fenfen put himself out there early. He knew that he had some help there from SofM, but when the moment he jumped in, of course it allowed Ben4 and Lissandra to jump right in. So the moment teleport comes through, what does SofM do? He has to go to the left no matter what. And of course, the moment he does that, means that Lissandra can follow up with a flash and snare.
That said, that is 2 flashes blown on the side of V5, so this is something SofM might be able to take advantage of now that he has that Predator available. But that's kind of a long shot at this point.
You can even see Galio coming in to help out just from bottom lane into red side jungle. So Snake had a lot of support to allow him to come and contest for Raptors. If Ben4 had Lissandra completely, shoved out in lane, then there was no way SofM could try and contest for that. So he has the help from his lanes. Here was the earlier play. I don't think we got to see this. Was Road getting completely caught out here by Maestro? Wow, okay. That was easy.
Huh.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one way. It's one way to lose your support, I suppose.
That'll do it, man. That'll do it.
Good heads-up play, though, from the Snake's bottom lane, paying attention to where they might be able to find those opportunities, and especially with the early game damage that Kalista provides, worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah, and remember, that was Road likely going in mid lane just to help out in the whole endeavor, but didn't have control of the, tri-bush. Now they do. Control ward is there. It allows Ben4 the opportunity to look bottom lane once he gets the experience, but SofM gets caught out early by this ward.
There's the auto. All right. But they will clear out all of the vision here on this side of the map, but that does allow Ben4 knowledge of the position of SofM, but he just got back from base. He just picked up his skirmisher saber, so not a whole lot he's going to be able to do with that knowledge at the very moment.
What I want SofM to do right now, even though he got a lot of good vision control cleared from bot side, is just completely pad top side. He left Raptors and Krugs open for some time, and you're already seeing Ben4 just zeroing in on it. Remember, both these junglers are a line of being able to get to level 6, so these camps, you need to be able to defend them. SofM showing himself bottom lane that early and not being able to pick up Raptors is a major detriment, and you know what Ben4 knows too. He knows that Krugs is available, and it's up to Ben4 to make the best out of it. He's going to go for Scuttle Crab here, and recognizing that he's not going to be able to get the, a challenge on Krugs, but it's nice to see that Ben4 got a nice punish.
Pings out the Krugs right there because, as you said, knows exactly what's going to be happening here. Flandre taking a little bit of poke there from Jinoo, ensuring that he might not be able to leave the lane if a Scuttle fight did break out. Ben4 should be able to secure this one with very little contention.
I like the old Conquerors on Aurelia just because even though it was harder to set up, you'd have to, set up on the minion wave before you went on for an all-in. It just had more damage potential early in the laning phase. With the nerfs to Conquerors this time around that's been repeatedly, even got hit, and the newest patch, it's far more of a scaling, I guess, rune that you would pick up for yourself. A keystone that you can go later on, have that 10% true damage into pre-mitigated healing. That's a lot of great stuff that you have once you have items. But early on, you don't get the benefit that you did from the old Conquerors.
Well, Aurelia, particularly in the mid to late game stages, does so well with it, especially now that her passive is changed.
Yep.
Because you get that attack speed now from the passive, and then as soon as your damage comes in from getting that 5th stack, that's when Conqueror comes in. So you get that double damage bonus right there. It's just a real nice combo.
Big fan of it, I guess. Still, new Conquerors is real nice. Is talking about the later game elements. It might not be as relevant on towards the the Vladimir, but once you start seeing more tankier options come in, remember, more crit AD carries means you have the option to go later on in the game to focus on protecting them. And that means more Ornn as an option. Sion has already been a pick that's been coming through, not has the highest win rate, but we have some amazing Sion players in our league. So that's something where definitely later stage Conquerors comes into play.
Well, I mean, might be useful onto the Skarner if he builds a little bit tankier in the later stages. So, still getting use out of the true damage there. And now, we're looking the top lane still even, but it's more important to look here at the levels of the jungle. Ben4 has just hit level 6, and SofM not quite there yet. A lot of this due to the invades Ben4 put in early.
Exactly. So now Ben4 has that option to look for a bottom lane play. It's good that SofM is in the area. The risk is that, if it's long enough, you would forego some experience in the top side of the map, but that's what you have to give away to protect your bottom lane from a Ben4 ultimate. So Nocturne ultimate might not be the play here just because SofM is making some, conceding experience in the top side of the map to make the play happen.
I also want to point out, looking at the mid lane, Fenfen's build into this Lissandra with Aftershock again, like, it's similar to what he did last game on LeBlanc. He's just saying, I just want all the money I can get because I don't think I can kill this.
We have, to be fair, seen a lot of pulls on Corki, just because the major focus on Corki is to get as much gold as possible, get your 2-item spike, Trinity Force into rapid fire cannon. So, and you also just get a lot of on-hit healing anyways. So it's always been that case, but you're right. It's like if you're going into the Lissandra anyways, what kill pressure did you have like in the previous series when you had LeBlanc into the matchup and you weren't going to have the jungle pressure? And in this case, you know that's going to be happen. So longer game as expected, 9 minutes into the game, and he's like, I will just get the extra 350, thank you.
Yeah, now Scuttlecrab being picked up top, surprisingly by Jinoo. So he's exerting a lot of pressure over Flandre, the 10 CS advantage as well.
Oh no, I don't see anything.
So Corn may be looking for the flank here. They're making for a play onto this blue buff. And
yep.
SofM has hit 6. He will be headed towards this side and has Predator available if he so chooses to do it, but they have no vision on this whatsoever.
Ben4 has been spot on in his punishes. Experience punishes the Raptors earlier on, and this time around, just as it's spawning, gets the blue buff. SofM has been on the back foot for the majority of that game because of it. So it's nice to be able to see. I mean, we had questions about what can subbing in a jungler really require from you, and it seems like this was it. Just looked like Ben4 comes into this game super focused on just the jungle experience, and it might have something to do with like Dog8 being able to give him that information.
Yeah, but now Ben4 has hit the level 6 thanks to that experience advantage. SofM can match now, but he has the Warriors. Still has not used his ultimate, so that's something to watch out for the next few minutes. They get the taunt onto Road. SofM coming in with the Predator. He has the Impale ultimate as well, but forces the flash out of Road.
Honestly, I don't even think he wanted to use Impale. He wanted to at least get the flash for free, and he was able to accomplish that. So it's just hard to be able to get the kill on towards an Alistar this early on in the game. So now, no flash on Alistar. You still have the Impale. You can technically make the play again and try for Y4 next time around, or you can look to bait around for a dragon fight. So what I would love for Snake, try and push out mid, look for a dragon early on. They may have the chance since it's now being traded for that Rift Herald.
Yeah, they're looking for the dragon right now. As you say that, they, I guess, suspect now the Rift Herald is being taken. But looking at the top lane, I'm starting to get worried a little bit here for Flandre's Vladimir, because you look, Jinoo has picked up Wit's End first.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough just because we've seen this from, I think, FLICKR, when we had the Griffin matchup. Like, when you're going up into a pure AP matchup and your entire point is to be on side lane split pushing, that'll give you the edge. In an already pretty decent matchup, it's only going to be harder for the Vladimir, who's really just going to be focusing on looking for team fights. So, good call from Victory 5. They split up the side of the map. They're much faster than the punch as well. So, that one fear that I had, Flandre not being able to get to the iconic fights pre-30 minutes, Victory 5 has just been speeding this game up.
And they're going to keep the speed in their favor now. 30 CS advantage for Jinoo, of course, able to take down that tower in the top lane. So they're just running away with the top lane at the very least. And this is going to draw a lot of attention from SofM as well.
What you can do here, and what if like Victory 5 should be able to accomplish, they've already pinged that bottom lane outer turret just now. Go there. Pull Vladimir as all you can, because he's trying to hold this top lane wave, and he can slow push it. Like maybe he has a freeze. It's hard to tell from like this angle, but he's pretty comfortable up there. You want him to get out of that farming mode and force him into a teleport play. That's why I like that Irelia is already moving like straight towards mid lane so she can help the push and look for a bottom lane dive.
And that said as well, Fenfen, want to see him finish up that Trinity Force, because we see he's already doing well with the wave clear, but against Korn, who also has the Rubik's Echo, he just needs a little bit of that extra push. The Trinity Force is going to give him a lot of the stats he wants alongside those Sork boots to keep pressure on the mid lane and try and prevent the rotations down to the bottom side from V5.
They never see the Alistar coming. Decides to Hex Flash away, so that's always, I always love both lane Road's ability to just be a playmaking force and try and get a catch out there. Because you're right, I mean, Fenfen was sitting pretty mid lane. He was like, I'm looking real close to getting my Trinity Force. If I get another like turret plating as an example, or an extra wave, maybe I can get to that item a little bit faster. In this case, Fenfen was disciplined, but was open for a play. Looks like they're trying to go for mid.
Fenfen's still able to get the wave clear here. So not going to be threatened just yet. And of course, Rift Herald's already been used, I believe. Yes, it has. So not a whole lot of push pressure for them unless they have strict man advantage, which it looks like at the moment they no longer have. So they're just going to head back down to the bottom lane.
There's a lot of reaction here from Snake. Snake at the moment, they need to protect both bottom lane, turret, and mid lane. And being able to do that at the same time is so hard. They can get the pick.
They're looking for it there onto Corn. They get the knockback as well. Impale follow it up. But the Frozen Tomb keeps him safe for the time being. They should be able to get this with the Rend. Hero's entrance is in as well. So all 5 members of Snake are down here on the bottom side.
Yeah, Lysandra didn't have stopwatch at all, not able to hold on to the fight a little bit longer, so no ultimate from Ben4, no ultimate from Corn, is going to be dead for a little while. So we talked about the fact that Victory 5 needed to move from both mid to bottom lane, didn't get that chance.
Fenfen in a lot of trouble, flashes away from the stun of Jinoo, but the flawless duet is not needed to get the kill, and Maestro will not be able to follow up. SofM looking here on the flank, does not have Predator available, so I don't know, because he just popped it, so he's going to look for Jinoo. Flawless
Got
duet
in there,
gives
please.
him vision, but the vision denied. A good taunt there. On the bottom side, they lost Asura, but they did pick up Jinoo, and now Flandre has to use the pool, but he's 1v4. I don't know how much he can turn this. Just a few more seconds to the empowered Q, but that is not enough healing by far. V5 will take him out as well.
Pretty hilarious. Top laners on both sides getting caught out. But at least that will put this one. Jinoo being able to get the pick on a Fenfen. So reality, it seems like it's a lot of people on Snake's end just dying for that one. So just taking a look at this one. This was actually just a pick onto both Flandre and, in particular, Asura getting blown up immediately.
Yeah, Asura not going to make that one out. And then at that point, you have the TP coming in from Corn, so there's not a whole lot Flandre can do. All he can try and do is stall.
So this is one of those problems that Snake as a team just keep on having. They already know that a play is being made on Aurelia where numerous members are on that one player. If that's the case, hold back on your own turret, on your own side of the map until the play dissipates. You can get mid lane control again, and suddenly you'll always know that you'll have the members. But in that case, they were just trying to make plays on both sides of the map.
And this is starting to get real dangerous for Snake. We pointed it out before, and you said that the 30-minute mark is what Snake needs to get to while even, or at least not getting absolutely shoved in if they want to make it through this. But it's 15 minutes in, they're down 2K gold, and it doesn't look like it's getting much better for them.
Only thing that can speed up the gold for a Vladimir in this instance is if a game is just truly scrappy. If kills being traded across. In this case, Vladimir is not getting that gold, but also a lot of the gold is going towards Asura and Fenfen. In this instance, Fenfen is already at 162 CS, 16 minutes into the game, so he's on par. That's great for him. Kills there for Asura. Fenfen needs to get out of there.
He's going to get engaged onto road. There's the paranoia to follow up. Fenfen once again, dead. And now they're trying to get onto Flandre as well, but the pool going to keep him alive for the time being. Empowered transfusion, not enough damage to take down road. He and Ben4 are both incredibly low, but Snake has nothing to follow up with.
Fenfen was incredibly confident that Vladimir would be able to do something in that situation. Maybe he had eyes on other members, but they're continuing to go in on this.
Taunt onto Jinoo. Asura is here now in the fight, but you do not want to take a 4v5, Snake.
So once again, weird decision from Fenfen to just stick around a little while longer and to challenge Victory 5 on the dive. He just didn't think they would be able to go for it. Either that they were bluffing or just didn't have the damage to follow up, and he was wrong in both accounts.
Now V5 going to have the advantage here on pretty much every lane at this point. The GA now going on to Ben4. This is a dangerous situation for Snake because yes, Paranoia is not back up, but the moment it is, they are in trouble.
At least Snake are going to be able to get a good amount of damage on this. One concern here is for teams that are either new or, still finding struggles and being able to net leads. They try and double down on, let's say in this instance, that turret at mid lane. So they either take that extra step forward and make a large risk in being able to take the turret since it's that low. That can, be the end of them. So they need to be patient in there. They should be confident that they'll get the turret at some point rather than risking the entire game for what Victory 5 could just, already have the push on both top and bottom lane and can converge on that.
Now V5 utilizing their better push, better wave control, going to pick up the Cloud Drake. Sure, on it itself, we've already talked about this earlier in the series, Raz. It's not going to do a whole lot, but when Elder comes
roll the
around,
dice. That's what I'm talking about. Look, I like just being able to clear it out, roll the dice, and see what the next dragon is. Last time around, it was unlucky because it was consistent clouds. But in this instance, of course, roll the dice, it's going to be an Infernal Dragon. So I like the fact now Victory 5, who had the control for the majority of the game, now can play a little bit more patient and confident that they don't necessarily need to go for the inner turret, mid lane, bottom lane, or the inhibitor turret, they can say, okay, Dragon's coming up soon. We could look for that play and maybe even get a second Infernal.
Baron coming up as well soon. Just 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining as they take down this tier 2 tower in the bottom lane for Victory 5. Or maybe not. They just left Jinoo all by himself. I don't know about that one, guys.
They're just responding to what was a mid lane play. So FLICKR just faster here. That's the issue. Is right now Victory 5, they're trying to figure out what's the best play to make. They could have just stuck bottom lane and tried to push into the inhibitor, but that's the game of chicken. If they continue to do that, then you know that FLICKR are going to look for the inner mid lane turret. So they decided to call it a little earlier.
Yeah, Flandre and Fenfen are keeping up in CS. In fact, actually, Asura is as well. So while they're down in kills, down in objectives, FLICKR keeping up in the CS at the very least, so they're not out of the game yet.
I like that from FLICKR. I mean, remember, rapid fire cannon is what Fenfen's looking for, and he's been behind for the majority of this game, but the fact that he can get to those items means a lot for him.
He's just a little bit away. He's just going to need to finish, I think, around 1,000 more gold, and he should be ready to switch over and get that item. He's, of course, not going to be able to farm the mid lane, though, because his AD carry is already on it, looking for that Runen's Hurricane, which I believe he should be able to pick up now.
He should be on side lanes anyways. At this stage of the game, he needs the solo experience and gold that we've been referring to. He's just been bouncing between both mid, top. I wonder why they're focused so heavily on that. I think there's no concern of Corrin being on top lane with you. You know where the Alistar was. He just showed in lane. So for him, he's literally just being overly cautious, and the idea of another member looking to confirm Dragon.
Now Snake looking for some leads of their own. They're gonna go. I like that they're just doing this blue buff.
I'll help you, buddy.
He's like, I can do it. I can help, I promise. Here, I'll even set up this Gromp for you, bud.
It's like he knows that there's no way that he's going to meet the Aurelia on side lane. But pings are happening through mid. They want to be able to look on this mid lane inner turret. You saw the dive that happened last time round. Victory 5 are ready for it this one too.
Yeah, this is the last outer turret remaining for Snake, and it should be an easy pickup here from V5, even though SofM has popped the Predator. So it's cooldown, he's going to be missing just for a little bit longer. Fenfen continuing to push out in the side lanes. This should be that rapid fire cannon we've been talking about. So it'll be 2 items for him and his AD carry and Asura, so they can start fighting a little bit. A little bit closer.
A lot more confident knowing that not only do they have their AD carry, I mean mid laner I suppose, online, but got the redemption there from Maestro too. So if you're ever confident, this is the time you can start pushing back. Zhonya's Hourglass from Flandre is going to be incredibly important, because if they ever find themselves in a fight that I mentioned, where Victory 5 are trying so heavily to go front to back, but Vladimir finds himself in the back, he can buy for so much time, pull into Zhonya's Hourglass, can get Crimson Rush again. There's just so much time that he can buy for himself alongside the Lissandra. So I am really excited for a lot of these team fights and how they can turn out if no picks happen. This is when I look towards both these teams. Please, no one get picked up. I just want to see a gentleman's agreement. Just look for these fights.
Well, Fenfen's looking for a different kind of agreement. He's got the package ready, and oh, actually, SofM. That's
I have not seen Shirelias in some time this game.
Yeah, that's an item pickup, Raz. That is certainly a choice that has been made. How do you feel about this one?
Righteous Glory.
Yeah, I figured.
Righteous Glory, please.
I mean, Shirelias is a little bit cheaper, I believe. But it gives you the AP instead of the defensive stats. I mean, you're Skarner. You want defensive stats anyway.
Yep.
AP doesn't do a whole lot for you.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm completely in agreement. So, I think the concern is always that looking at who he's going to be dealing with, Lissandra's obviously going to deal the most amount of damage. It's a threat to him, but not. Like, that's Nocturne, Aurelia, and Lucian. Let's go for the fight.
Here's the engage. SofM already low. Paranoia follows onto him. He tries to get the Impale, but can't do a whole lot with it. Corrin is safe there, but Fenfen free firing on the backline of V5. Should be able to keep the damage down. Flandre as well. They're just doing so much damage that V5 are afraid to re-engage. The heal's already been blown, and it looks like V5 still want to chase and fight a little bit. Flandre with the flash in. He gets the Proto Belt. They take out Jinoo, and now Fenfen chasing down. So much damage coming out of this Corki. They should be able to pick up Corrin. There's the auto, the double kill now for Fenfen. They're pushing in onto the second tier and tower.
Yeah, they have the second option of going back to Baron too, but they're so close to getting the kill on the road.
He is chunked out at the very least, and with that double AD carry and their jungler still up, Headed straight for that Baron.
Yeah, they're going right for it. So thank God they have the smite from Skarner to be able to back this one up, because you know that Ben 4 is alive. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he wants to look for a challenge here.
They should have the better side of the team fight as well, with Jinoo and Corn both down, but both of them have teleport, so the moment they're up, they can get onto that control.
They're too slow to this
fight. 2,000 HP, the Redemption can't let that go. The smite lands, Y4 forced to cleanse away. And now Snake might get fought here by Jinoo, looking for the flawless duet. It lands onto SofM. The teleport coming in as well from Corn, but I think it's too little too late at this point, because Snake are peeling out.
There is no way for Victory 5 to pick up that fight. Even if Jinoo is able to get another excellent stun, how does he jump in, knowing that Flandre, even SofM, going to be able to like get a pull on that one. So finally gets his ultimate back up. But this is really dire for Victory 5.
I mean, the Infernal Drink is going to help them a little bit. It's going to help them lick their wounds a bit. And so is that RNG for the second one. But we'll see that fight again.
I just want to take a look at, of course, when the fight initially starts, we already talked about the itemizing there for Skarner. He gets blown up. But people you need to look at, Vladimir, huge amount of damage onto Ben 4. And then he's also walking up with Fenfen. That's not only your damage, but the space that you can provide there too. So I just want to be able to see how they play out with Road, who is trying to threaten but doesn't have the HP to do so. So Victory 5 get lulled into a false sense of security where they can walk up, but because they think they have more members who could do that, but they don't have the HP, the defensive stats there for members like Road, who would eventually be the ones to start those fights. So I still think that Victory 5 have a great composition to look for those fights with Lissandra and Nocturne, but at the moment, Snake have been playing it a lot better to not only rely on the skill of Flandre in the back line, but to spread out when Lissandra comes in.
Yeah, Flandre once again, pretty unsurprisingly for those of you who have been watching, is Vladimir being a big highlight in these plays. But oh no, Victory 5, Corn getting caught out. And suddenly Snake have a lot more freedom on this push.
Yeah, I don't know why they came out that far out. They should have known. Here comes Alistar getting picked out. There we go.
Breakable will pop. It's a big ultimate down.
Like, they thought that they could get the jump on Flandre. That's the only reason they thought they could just dig that deep into the red side jungle when they had no vision of doing so. So Flandre is like, all right, I have a team. Don't worry about it, man. And now they can look for this inhibitor turret as well.
They're looking for it. They've got 4 members versus the 4 of V5, plus SofM pushing in the mid lane so they can rotate up if they so choose. And that tower, just no contest going to come out from V5, and they should be able to pick up this inhibitor as well with the damage coming out from Fenfen and Asura. Easy pickup, and now rotating around to the mid lane. They only have the cannon from this wave, though.
SofM just shepherding in the minion wave, giving them the Baron buff, so he's denying experience. You already see the damage that turret took without anyone really hitting it, just the minions alone. So it's pretty insane. I wonder if they double down. Yes, they are. Yeah, they certainly are.
Yeah, that's a double down if I've ever seen one.
Gonna have to be Corn that starts this one up. He's not even the right spot, so it's gonna be rough for Victory 5 to push them off of this one.
Fenfen as well has the package available, which is super fortuitous timing for him. He should be able to stay on this side by himself and be able to escape just with the special delivery.
This is smart from Snake. Yeah, they pull away from the mid lane turret and just move alongside their Corki. You're right, he has package, he could walk up a lot more forward, especially knowing that he has the Galio taunt to help him out as well. Something has to happen here.
Picked up his 3rd item as well, so it's going to be a ton of damage coming out from Fenfen. You want to focus on him in this fight and make sure he goes down. Special delivery has been blown. It's a long cooldown even with the Valkyrie.
But take a look at both Alistar and Lissandra's positioning. They're not in a good spot to look for a fight. Road wants to change that.
He's looking onto the side, but Maestro's there. The flash in from SofM isn't going to find anybody. Paranoia has been popped, but no engage comes out just yet. Hero's entrance should be able to knock up Ben 4. Good spell shield from him keeps him alive for the time being, but Fenfen's still alive. They pop the GA. Flandre in the front line. Look at how much space he is creating for Snake. He flashes back into the back line. Flandre's still alive, and V5, they're going to lose the fight, and they might even lose the game as a follow-up. Snake, the double kill for Fenfen. 2 members down for Victory 5. An inhibitor as well under fire at this point, and the minions are all the way pouring into the bottom lane. Maestro tries to get the engage, a great knockup from Road, but it won't be enough. Flandre's so low. Maestro finally taken out, but Flandre's still alive. All the healing going his way. Corn as well tries to save the game, but he's not going to be able to. Corn so low, they finally take one down, but Asura, SofM still alive. And Snake, this should be them taking the game. Ben4, 4 seconds remaining to the respawn. SofM and Asura, can they do it? Not enough minions, and it looks like they're going to have to bail.
That's rough, man. Some people will make that risk. They'll look for the tower saying, okay, there's only Ben4. Even Jinoo coming out a little bit late. No, Ben4 is going to get this kill, by the way. He's certainly going to get this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My Asura might be able to get it. No, all right.
He's absolutely going to get it.
I should have trusted you. I just had the faith. I had the faith too much, Raz.
Ben4 will have the movement speed from Q spams, and on top of that, yeah, just no mana there from the Kalista as well. So that's rough, man. A few teams I mentioned would go for the risk of trying to end the game, knowing that Ben4 would be the only one there who could try and back them up. He didn't even have his ultimate too, so I guess they wanted to just keep each other alive and try and play more defensively when they're coming back onto the map. So I love this from Flandre. Look at how much time that he's spending. Goes into pool, had Crimson Rush to heal back up, then he went into Zhonya's. He bought for so much time that even if he died, that was all right. Snake had already won the fight. The only concern here is how much damage they were able to take in doing so, because it was too much damage for them to even end the game. They can come back for it. Inhibitors down on both bottom lane and top lane, but man, this game is crazy.
And without the minion wave, you know, when they tried to end the game, they just didn't have the damage for it. And I'm continually perplexed by this build from SofM, Raz. I mean, I guess it works. It seems to be doing pretty well for him, honestly, and it's fairly low econ to get these items as well.
He's always been the type to go for the cheaper items, to have a faster power spike when he has a lead. That's been his style. Like, if we're just talking about, before I even touch on it, Flandre is under threat.
Dodges out the flawless duet, but no sanguine pool available. Has to pop the Zhonya's. He's going to stay alive for now. Should have the Crimson Rush. It's a good one. Corn goes into the backline. Paranoia follows as well. But now it looks like they're going to have to save Maestro with the Fate's Call. They finally take down Corn, and this is just going to be the straight chase down here from Snake. Jinoo, the next one, he jumps into the backline and gets one, but that's all he'll be able to find. The double kill from Fenfen. Y4 doing his best to try and win the fight, but Fenfen barely alive still. The Q! All right, V5, that's a little bit fancy, but Ben4, the only one remaining. Flandre, Asura, and SofM should be able to take this one. No more Nexus Towers remaining. This should be game number 3 here for Snake in just a second. And Snake have finally done it. They've secured their 4th win of the LPL Spring Split. And they may have denied the playoffs to Victory 5.
I don't know, man. We'll see in the future, because Victory 5 are still in the thick of things with a lot of games to go, but they're not easy games. And the fact that they lost this potentially easy series says a lot to how competitive teams are getting near the end of the split. That was fun. There's a lot still left in the tank for Snake. They're still aiming, vying for the playoff spot, so they're still kicking, they're alive. It's nice to see the team coming back together, still pulling in, I'd say, like, stronger discipline strategy around their top laner, while having now a stronger mid laner that doesn't fall behind. So Snake coming online late.
They really pulled through in this one, and I just want to, on a personal note, Raz.
What's up?
I'd like to note that I'm the only one who got this prediction right. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm a better analyst or anything, but it does mean I got the prediction right. So I voted with my heart.
Okay.
And it seems like I was rewarded for this one, but Snake, I mean, they showed a lot of heart on their own, and that's what I want to point out. You know, they didn't give up even when they were behind. You look at that early game graph, and like you said, 30 minutes, that's when they needed to be winning. They won the game pretty much immediately after that 30-minute mark.
It was so hard for Victory 5 to start being able to reliably land one target, because when, you know, Nocturne was able to dive on top of Asura, what happened? Suddenly she kites right back. Galio comes in with the protection from the ultimate. She starts having more space, and they're like, okay, well, we'll start to prioritize who's in the front, which is Flandre. Pool, Zhonya's, you know how Flandre, like the Vladimir does it. So it was very hard for Victory 5 to get on top of them when really they had the gold lead, they had the composition to work out for them. Just Snake coming online with their composition. So that's always the risk, man. Team WE did it, and now you're starting to see Snake do it. Teams are going to start prioritizing later game team fight composition focused on crit champions like Corki.
But it's so weird, specifically for Snake, because we've talked, you know, Snake's good early game, but anytime it gets past then, usually it sort of starts looking more and more like a car wreck. You know, they just don't really know what's happening. They're trying to fuddled their way through it. But it didn't look like that this game. It didn't look like that in game 1 either.
I think one of the biggest contributing factors, if my memory goes back to why these domino effects of them dying repeatedly when they had their early game leads were starting, it was like oftentimes it was like Mala on the sideline getting picked off to start, and perhaps the communication just starting to falter from that point forward. Same thing happened with Andy when he was on sideline. This time around, Fenfen, he's able to provide that communication, and he's not falling behind as heavily. This time around, he did fall behind, but he was playing smart while behind, never taking excessive risks. So great, it was great from Snake to be able to claw themselves back in, and now they have a mid laner that allows them to do that.
Yep. Snake looking really good, clinching their 4th series win, and we'll be back in very, very quick time with RNG versus Rogue Warriors. We'll be back in a sec.